You're listening to Two Vatos Talking, aka TVT Bro Talk, a podcast by two dads discussing life's challenges and blessings with the goal to create a sincere community for men. We're your co-hosts, Eduardo and Spencer.
In the spring of 2020, right as the COVID shit hit the fan, I was separated from my wife and family and consequently became homeless and at times hopeless. 2 years later, a few days before my 50th birthday, my wife and I divorced after a 19-year marriage. What they don't tell you after you get divorced is that along with the house, finances, and full-time custody of your children, you also lose friends, companionship, and holidays with loved ones. I had been alone many times in my life, but this new loneliness was at times profound and prolonged. Starting over is difficult, but not impossible if you're willing to do some hard work, put yourself out there, and not just start a new chapter, but a whole new book.
Back in high school, I was that long-haired rocker kid from the 80s, torn up jeans, loud music, hanging with the wrong crowd. I ditched class, did all the things I now tell my kids not to do. Then I met this guy who looked just like me. Long hair, metal head, same style, except he was an honor student and somehow we just clicked. We became best friends. I was his best man, hung out with his whole family. And back then, making friends, it just happened. School, work, sports, you're surrounded by people. But then life happens. And after 20 years of being in a relationship and raising kids, I find myself 52, single. My stepdaughter's finished with college and on her own. My son's off to college. My daughter's 12 and in middle school. And I find myself sitting alone in my own house thinking, now what? So who do I hang out with? Most of my friends are married, busy, or disappeared into their own worlds. I'm older, a little overweight, fighting high cholesterol, and I realize I haven't had to make a friend in over 20 years. So then the question hits me, and maybe some of you too. How do you make friends as a man in your 50s?
Well, that's a good point, Ed. How do you make a friend, period? I mean, it's easier when you're kids.
Yeah.
But when you're post-divorce, 30s, 40s, 50s, I don't think it doesn't get easier with age and probably gets harder. But just going back to what you just said, because I've known you for a year,
Right.
I don't know you very well, but I know you. Who was the guy that you were his best man in his wedding, and where is he at?
Yeah, good question. So he was a guy I met in algebra class, which I failed out of, right? And I had to go into the remedial algebra class. And this guy, super smart guy, Steve, still friends with him to this day. I could pick up the phone and talk to him even though I haven't talked to him in forever. And but it's one of those relationships where it's just, you don't have to work at it because you've known each other for so long and you have this like built-in trust that you just pick up the phone and you know that you can call on him. He lives in Indiana now, and so he's moved away from El Paso. But like I said, if he comes into town, it's just too easy to reconnect after whatever kind of time has passed.
Well, that's a good point because sometimes we lose contact with our friends for whatever reason, but people also move.
Yeah.
Right? Particularly in this country for careers, for family, whatever the case may be. So, we lose our friends because of these circumstances. And we have to kind of start all over.
Right.
Right? And we can meet people. My dad used to say I have a lot of, he didn't say he had a lot of friends. I thought he did have a lot of friends, but people he just knew.
Yeah.
Right? And not really close friends. And so I was telling you, I read this article that appeared in the Harvard Gazette. It's titled, "Good Genes Are Nice, but Joy is Better" by Liz Mineo. It came out in April 2017. She's a staff writer at this newspaper in Harvard. And so it brings up some really good points because, today's age, whether it's apps or podcasts or self-help books, people are interested in being healthier, right?
Yeah.
Physically healthier, mentally healthier. They're interested in relationships. And those two things are actually tied together, right? And so in this study, They followed men at Harvard over an 80-year period, right? So it's this longitudinal study, and what they found, right? And this is according to Robert Wildinger. He's a director of the study, and he's a psychiatrist at the Massachusetts General Hospital and a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He said, and this is a quote, "The surprising finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. Taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too." Then the study goes on to state that close relationships, more than money or fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives. And this is what the study showed, right? So, we can try to find all these cures and find the right diet and exercise plan and, spend money and make money. But at the end of the day, it's our relationships, right? And it's more important than our genetic makeup. It's more important than oftentimes what we eat, although that's very important. Our relationships basically determine how healthy we are.
Which is crazy.
Right.
It's counterintuitive, or maybe just not intuitive, as to, a big focus is taking care of yourself, eating well, not drinking too much, or, just doing all the right things like that. But when you hear things like that, where it's just talking about making relationships, it's kind of like going to kindergarten. You have to apply those rules throughout your life. You have to get along with people. You have to be able to play well with others, and do all that stuff. And I guess this study is proving that if you do that throughout your life, it leads to maybe a longer, happier life.
And that's a great point, because in kindergarten, elementary in general, middle school too, and high school as well, but I think it changes. You just make friends naturally, right? There is no, you hang out together, you play together, you do things together, you run, it's all kind of natural.
Right.
And, you just making friends and building relationships is part of growing up. But as you get older and you turn whatever age, whatever age is that magic number for you, I think, you and I both talked about this. 40, it's a milestone, but I didn't feel over the hill.
Right.
And I still don't feel over the hill. But something about 50, right? Because you're rounding up.
It even sounds old.
Yeah, you're closer to 100 than you are to when you're a baby, and that's something, right? And there's no denying it. And you're 50, and I don't know how, but you start getting pop-ups from AARP.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And mail-ins.
I despise those.
And I'm like, what the heck, man?
Right.
Like, how did you get my number and address and whatever? And why are you writing me? Like, pick the picture of these people. That's not me.
Right. My nephew keeps teasing me and telling me that I'm really close to getting, or to being able to order off the senior menu at IHOP. And
well, I did, because everyone else did. And they're like, hey, it's only whatever it was, $5, $6. You're going to say $3 or $4. Just do it. They're not going to card you.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
My brother refuses to look at anything on there, and he's like 60, right?
Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't do that. And I was like, all right, I'll save a few bucks.
Yeah.
But 50, something about, 50 that we kind of have a wake-up call.
Oh, yeah.
Because chances are most people in their 50s, or when they turn 50, not in the best health, and it's hard to get back to your health journey. A physical health journey is just that, right? It's months and years.
To add to your point, so there's turning 50.
Yeah.
But then there's turning 50 when you're single. And so
divorced,
right? With single dad, single parent, raising kids, taking care of your parents maybe. So nobody really prepares you for that. It's more natural when you're in your teenage years or your 20s and you're in college and you're going out and doing the kind of stuff where it's a social environment. But it's not too natural when you're 50 and you're now single again. When I was single before I had children, there was no social media the way that there is now. Texting wasn't a prime form of communication. Just things like that, social media. Dating apps weren't as prevalent. Now, you have the Tinder, you have like Hinge and all this crazy stuff, right?
Right. But, when you're married, at least in our marriage, and I think it's, common, you have couple friends.
A lot, yeah.
Right? you hang out with certain couples, whether it's one couple or multiple couples, and you all hang out together. You have things in common. You all have kids. You know, in our case, we're all professionals.
Right.
In our case, we're also all Mexican American. You know, we
Sure.
ate the same foods, grew up similar culture.
Right.
Although the regions might have been a little different. You know, we can code switch between Spanish and English.
Sure.
We understood each other's humor. So, you know, we had these relationships, right? Let's have a barbecue, or let's have a get together, or we're going to celebrate something. Well, there's a list of people we're going to automatically invite.
Yeah.
But once you get divorced, you kind of get divorced from some of those relationships too, because
The ties are cut
Right.
in a lot of different areas.
because you don't hang out necessarily with that couple because now you're by yourself.
Well, and let's be honest, the common denominator in those relationships while you're raising kids is the kids. And so there was friends that were way younger than me, a little bit older than me, but we had kids the same age. And so that was like the common bond.
Right.
And so that was easy. You know, we would have barbecues. We would get together after Little League practice or whatever. And those are natural environments where it's like couple friendly.
Right.
And so you get used to that. You know, I got used to that.
Yeah.
And I was able to make some good connections and make some good friends. But that's 20 years of that, you know. And then even that changes because as your kids grow, their appetite for sports changes. And then some kids really, really take it super serious, and the parents really, really take it super serious, and they go like, you know, they're going to be the professional baseball player or whatever. And other kids are just trying to have fun. And then you just kind of you spur off in different directions. But the common ground is the children, and then other children that you might have, and so then it just kind of turns into like a second kind of family.
Yeah, I mean, you're having a carne asada, or you say, hey, they're going to have a brinca, right? A trampoline, a jumping castle. There's something for everybody because the kids are going to play their thing.
Yeah.
And the couples are going to be drinking beer or whatever, and,
Right.
and then chisme, right? They're going to be in the gossip
Yeah.
and just talking and bullshitting. And so there's something for everyone to do.
Yeah.
And if the kids say I'm bored, you're like, okay, well, go play with your friends. Go play with, you know, we make them their friends.
Yeah.
And they never decided to be friends, but
Exactly.
because they're the kids of our friends, and then they're friends now.
And I remember it was also open to single parents, right? So like if a single dad or a single mom had their children in that team or whatever, I mean, it was a very nice family environment, and nobody kind of looked at them as a single parent. It was
Right.
just, they were just like welcome. It's not so much like that now at 50.
No,
you
at
know?
50. I think it's kind of like, well, those couples might think, well, who do we hang out with?
Yeah,
Do we hang out with the wife
right.
or the husband, right? And what's, you know, it's just not the same. And then there's also this other wrinkle where you tell your buddy, hey, let's go have lunch, or
Right.
let's grab a beer after work. And all of a sudden, the wives don't like it.
You're talking about married friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their wives don't like it because they're like, oh,
What are you guys doing?
yeah, what are y'all doing?
You're out whoring around?
Yeah, it must be nice to go out and have a beer,
Yeah.
or go to lunch.
Who are you
know?
talking to out there, right?
I'm
Why,
like-
why do you feel the need to go do that? You know?
Right. But I think now, because we're single, and they think in some bizarre world that, you know, we're just hitting up every woman that's out there,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's some sort of party at the Playboy Mansion or something,
Right.
which is the complete opposite.
It totally is, right?
Right? We just want to hang out.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So let me ask you, what was your? So you find yourself single.
Yeah.
You've been in a relationship for almost like me, right? Almost 20 years.
Right. Well, more than 20 when the marriage was 19. So there's,
So the relationship was longer.
oh yeah, 21.
So then, what do you remember? Like what you first did? You know, like I'm single, I could go do whatever I want. Like what was it like?
Well, I mean, there's a whole post-divorce, like, trauma release going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could be a whole nother episode, but part of it is there's so much, I don't know, stress or issues and feelings you got to deal with. The first part is, okay, I need to be by myself.
Yeah.
And it's a relief. There's peace there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll give up the house. You can have every stick of furniture.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, let me take this one plate, this one bowl,
Yeah.
one cup, and a fork and a knife, and my clothes and my books.
Yeah.
But I just need something to eat off of. And and my own personal items.
You're going primal.
Yeah, and I've seen other, pictures and of guys that post that, and literally it's just them sitting on a pillow or a blanket with their laptop in front of them, and they're just posting, this is what peace looks like.
Yeah, I've seen those too, and it resonates, right?
Yeah, it totally resonates. And I'm like, yeah, been there.
Yeah.
I didn't need a TV. I just needed some space.
Right.
And there's peace with that. And so I think the first step is, you got to have some peace to come down from that space you're at.
Right.
But then once you're there for a while, weeks, months, I don't know, and you're not in that routine that you had before. There's the one thing. There's a routine that keeps you busy, that keeps you occupied. And then, in my case, as I mentioned, I didn't have a place to go.
Right.
It was COVID. I couldn't go hang out on a friend's couch because
of COVID.
We didn't quite know what it was, and I wasn't going to put any of my friends in this awkward position of, hey, can I stay on your couch? And who knows what's going on? And some of them have parents and that live with them, or they take care of. So it was completely on my own. And after a while, it becomes too quiet.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not seeing your kids on a regular basis. You're not in that same routine. And in my case, you're not even going to work. Everything's remote. So right. I didn't have the pleasure of seeing the everyday people who sometimes even get on your nerves.
Sure.
But there's that. So it was complete isolation. And
COVID was just such an awkward, horrible time. And then you're trying to navigate being single at the same time.
Right.
And where the hell am I going to, basic 101, where am I going to rest today?
Where am I going to lay my head, right? And I'd be interested to read some studies that come out years from now of people who are going through divorce during COVID.
Yeah.
Particularly the spouse who leaves the house and also leaves the family, and it's usually the man.
Right.
So after a while, things got better. And during that time, I think everybody had to find something. And that's where you notice people walking. And, that's what I would do. I'd just walk because it's outside and it's open air. And so walking became my therapy. But then you get to a point where all right, it's time to hang out again. But who do I hang out with?
Yeah.
Because you might have different goals now, and your married friends can hang out during lunch or after work for a little bit, but you want to go out and meet people.
Right.
And for that, you can go by yourself, and there's plenty of people that go by themselves, but you kind of need a running partner, you need someone to push you, whether it's a spotter at the gym or a running partner or someone to, hey, let's go have a beer together and see what happens, right? Let's go meet some people.
Well, it's that you're talking about just basic relationship 101, just a little bit of companionship instead of eating alone, which I'm 100% fine eating alone. But it's especially if you're going through a hard time, like being single again after 20 years and you just want to shoot the shit,
Right.
Just go and have a burger and a cold tea or whatever and to see what else somebody else is going through,
So when did you get off the couch, right? When did you say, I need to make some friends? Obviously, dating is great, but that's a whole different scenario.
That's a whole different topic, yeah.
Right. But when did you say, I need to make some friends? I need to connect?
So first, I think there was a lot of insecurities on my part. There was a lot of doubt, who the fuck's going to be interested in talking to this whole guy, I hadn't met anybody. I hadn't even tried to meet anybody. And then what am I going to do, right? I'm a little bit overweight. I would go I had a gym membership. I wasn't a regular gym goer, but I was trying to keep in shape. I stopped running. I used to run a lot in my 30s. And so now in my 50s, my body's starting to give out. My doctor's telling me my cholesterol is up. And shit, I'm over 50, These are real life things. And I saw this thing one time and it said, if you're over 50, your hearing is probably starting to go down a little bit and, you're starting to gain a little bit more weight and you're not as mobile. And I was like, damn, that's me. I'm sounding old. And so I didn't know what to do. And so I did the first thing that I thought was natural, which was to go to some neighborhood bars. And it's on a Wednesday night. And I'm sitting at this bar. I remember vividly, I'm sitting at this bar and don't know anybody, right? Because all my friends are, like we said, married, and I don't have any single friends. And I'm taking a good look around, and I'm probably 2 beers in, and I realize everybody there, for the most part, is probably a regular, and they're wearing their softball T-shirts, and they're there as their team, getting drunk, and I was like, I can't do this, right? Like I can't do this on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday. And it looked like half of them were probably in relationships, and their wives or girlfriends were there with them, and so that was like their thing. But it just didn't make me feel good at all.
But the other half were there by themselves. Those guys hanging out at the bar by themselves.
Just barflies,
Yeah.
people that from the neighborhood. It was like a neighborhood bar,
Right.
and just people drinking and making best friends, and I found that really interesting. I went out alone a lot, and I always ended up talking to people, either guys or girls. And I found guys were actually really welcoming.
Were you having dinner by yourself a lot too, or lunch, or
No.
lunch is common, but dinner.
So I don't mind eating dinner at all by myself. I don't mind. I learned how to do that,
But
like
at a
in
public
college.
place, because
Sure.
we do it at home, obviously. But
No, at a public place, I'll be 100% fine doing that. And I learned to do that when I was like going to college, and then after college. But so I'm fine doing that. I even go to movies by myself and all that stuff.
yeah,
So
you're comfortable in your own skin to be out.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was awkward. I remember vividly the first time I went to a movie by myself, and I walked out and I was like, oh, it's not that bad, right? I remember going to a rock concert by myself. And afterwards I was like, this wasn't bad either, right? And I didn't miss the show that I wanted to see. And that's what kept me from going to places was like, I'm going to miss this concert because I don't have anybody to go with. And so when I first did it by myself, I was like, I saw a freaking awesome concert. You don't talk to anybody anyways while the concert's going on. And then you just leave.
Right.
And you're fine, right? It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, there's some things there that there's definitely like a threshold where do I feel comfortable doing this in public?
Yeah.
I think most things I do, I've been to movies by myself. It's not something I've done a lot, but I'm like, hey, I really want to see this. This person's not available. This person's tired. And I'm like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait on everybody for the right mood
Right.
to go watch a movie, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll go do that. But there's some things that, you can't necessarily do by yourself or want to do by yourself. But, and that gets into our the next point here, but just thinking about how you were observant, right? Because we're both artists.
Yeah.
You're a graphic artist and a painter, and I'm a writer. So one of the qualities I think of artists is to be observant
Sure.
of the world around you. And so I'm the same way. I like to people watch sometimes too much. But instead of the bar, because New Mexico, you're in Texas, I'm in New Mexico, and New Mexico has stranger, rules regarding bars and drinking. So the drinking scene is not, it's starting to grow as far as like breweries and patio bars, but it's nothing like Texas. Texas, it's just a better vibe for drinking and have a good time versus New Mexico in general, in my opinion.
Sure.
But I would when I go to the grocery store, because we all got to go grocery shopping. I mean, you can do the online buying and you go pick it up or deliver it, but I don't do that. I would go to the grocery store, and I'm watching other people, and I really got interested in watching men grocery shop, and I could pick them out like that dude's alone.
Yeah.
He's probably divorced, could be widowed, but I know he's alone.
Yeah.
And I would kind of, walk by him.
What were the signs that told
Well,
you
I'd
that?
walk by and I'd peer in his basket, and I'm like, all right, he's got the Dinty meals, he's got the frozen meals,
Yeah.
he's got enough vegetables and fruit, if he has anything, really, maybe a banana for like 1 or 2 days. There was no like meal prepping or cooking for people. It was all processed foods for the moment. And then you look at the person, you're like, yeah, that guy's moving pretty slow.
Right.
He's also looking a little ragged, like he's not dressing up nice.
Yeah.
Or dressing up even, kind of nice. His hair's not, he's kind of disheveled. And he's, the other thing is this is his outlet. Like this is his, although he's not talking to anyone, it's work and the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I go, that's not the route I want to go.
Okay.
Because I think.
So you saw that at the grocery store, where I see
yeah.
it at a bar.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
I've seen it at bars too, but I just really pay attention to what these people, and they're men, and I can spot them out. I go, that guy's by himself.
Yeah.
Just the way they shop and how they're shopping. And I just thought, this is not and a number of things, not just that, but this is not the life I want to have.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm 50. Now I'm 53. I do. I wish I were younger, but I can't change that.
No.
But I'm going to enjoy my life. Like, that's my attitude. Like, God gave me this life for a reason, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm not going to be like, another day, another dollar.
Well, you need to really take care of it, right? Which it is yourself.
Right.
And so I think as generally, men just kind of get overlooked to, like, if you take care of yourself, it's like, who the hell are you? Yeah, some prima donna, it always, I think it has like this bad connotation of like, oh, who do you think you are? Self-care for a man? Come on. But, I started looking at videos when I was turning single, and part of it was like self-care, right? Going to the gym, working out.
Reading.
You know what? One of the things, I'll bring up 2 points that I think are good for my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
One was I like getting a haircut.
Okay.
And so I would get them frequently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, if it makes you feel like, I like that new fresh haircut,
Yeah.
And so it was like,
I'm saying because I remember.
Yeah,
not because I do it. I have to shave my head. And
that's no shot at you, but
no, it's all good.
But I was going weekly, but I would feel good, And so if you feel good with a fresh haircut, it's like, let's go out, let's go do stuff, right? Because you project that you're feeling good. Another good thing that was positive for my mental health was getting a housekeeper. Man, that's the best investment I have found in a long time. And so I found a really great housekeeper that she'll even fold my clothes and organize my closet for me and then clean everything. And I come home from work and it smells wonderful and everything's in order. And I'm just like, wow, right? Like, it's such a good feeling. Like, I don't even want to dirty a dish. I don't even want to lay on my bed, right? Because it's so nicely made.
Yeah.
And so it's those kinds of little things where it's like this glimmer of like happiness, and it's like, oh, that feels good, right? And so like it makes you want to shower, right? It makes you want to get up and go do stuff. And just a third point is I was going to a gym, and although I had a membership for years, I liked going there because not a lot of people were going there. And so I never had to wait for a machine and stuff like that. Well, then they close it. And so I was forced to go find another gym. And so I ended up at this other one, and game changer, because the environment's different. The people are different. They serve smoothies. They have food. They have a sauna. They have just people are like all muscled out there,
Yeah.
And so that inspired me to like up my game. And I make it a point not to talk to people because I just want to go in there and work out. But I get inspired. Who doesn't get inspired by a beautiful woman, right, walking by and is in great shape? I'm not trying to be the creeper and go hit on them because I don't think that's the right place to do that. But I'm inspired by all the folks that are around me, and I see them at the gym all the time, right? They're regulars, and they're doing their workout, they're hitting it hard, and then they're leaving. And that's what I do. So that was like an unintentional game changer that I was kind of like, it was like a happy accident.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a better job than I did. You were seeking healthy options. I know I was looking for outlets.
Yeah.
I don't think mine were they weren't terrible. It's not like I was looking, to score some crack or something, or
Right.
drink 340s on a Tuesday night or something like that. But I definitely did some things that I think weren't as healthy. So for me, it was eating. Like I needed to find whatever meal I wanted. It was a good meal. It's like, I deserve this.
Yeah.
Like, I want a good meal. And it was usually, something with a lot of meat. And
You're getting some comfort food.
exactly. For me, it was once a day. I wanted that one piece of food.
Yeah.
Takeout, mind you, or a restaurant, but someone else made it, prepared it, and I didn't cook it. So food was my outlet. And I wouldn't say, I was overweight. But I didn't gain a lot of weight, but I was overweight.
Yeah.
The second thing is I poured myself into work, right? Work projects.
Okay.
Whatever it was, that's what kept my mind occupied.
Yeah.
For good or bad. I mean, it's good to be productive at work, but probably a little too much. And the third thing, and this is not like I did a lot of it, but looking back, real estate. I bought a property I shouldn't have bought.
Okay.
It was a lot of work, and I I maybe made a little bit. It was just a tad bit over break even, but it kept during COVID particularly. It kept my mind and body occupied.
You were occupying the empty space.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one, I still have it, and I think I bought it out of nostalgia. I wanted a place where I could go fishing with my dad and kind of recuperate some of my childhood and the things I used to enjoy. And part of me doesn't regret it, but when the payments are due and insurance and whatever, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that was a mistake.
Right.
So it took me a while, and nothing replaces, all those things are just placeholders.
Yeah.
But nothing replaces relationships.
Right.
We all need relationships.
And I don't know about you, I thought it was going to be easier, like finding folks to like just hang out with. But it's just, and I kind of ran into that when my kids first started school. I thought I'm going to get along well with all the parents that are having their kids in there. Mm-hmm. No, it's not the case, right? I didn't find that. Some parents were very aggressive, overprotective, helicopter parents, just things like that where the vibe just wasn't there. We had kids in common, but that was about it,
Yeah.
And so those friendships didn't spur like I thought they would have. But then after I'm single, there was a lot of anxiety, like, what the hell am I going to do? Like what, like period. Like, and then what do I tell my kids? And so even like as I like made a relationship with you and other folks, my daughter looks at me like, oh, is that your friend? Because it's awkward, right? It's like your kid telling you, Dad, you got a new friend today? It's just not natural. Unfortunately, that's the reality. But I guess I did think it was going to be challenging. But I think it's a huge blessing to find you and the group of friends that we have now.
Right. Well, before we met, there was a area where I kind of hit rock bottom with loneliness. I remember I was feeling really lonely. My parents, I still had both my parents at that time, but they live, 800 miles away. My brother lives, East Coast. Obviously, once I was divorced, wasn't seeing my daughters on a regular basis, and one had just moved away for college. And I remember I was like, I need to just call somebody.
Yeah.
And it was the strangest thing. Nobody was available.
Wow. Yeah.
Like I even called my pastor. Like, well, okay, I'll call my pastor. He's always, nope.
Wow.
Like voicemails, like.
That's like cold water being thrown in your face.
And I was like, what the heck? Like I really need to connect with somebody and anybody.
Yeah.
Like it was like I would have talked to the mailman, if he had walked by or she had walked, whoever. And I realized, okay, I need to do something. And that goes back to, how we met. I was like, well, I want to learn how to dance. I've always, wanted to learn how to dance and felt bad when I was with someone who wanted to dance or I didn't dance well. And so I started taking lessons in the town where I live, but, it was small and it was just one-on-one, but I felt a little awkward. And ironically, in a sense, my ex-wife we were talking and she said, oh, I found this place in El Paso where you live. It's, a good hour from where I live. And she goes, oh, they have these dances, they have classes, and they have these dance socials. And they're, once again, Texas rules are different, laws are different. They have BYOB, which you could never have in New Mexico. They have BYOB, and the band and the party goes to 3 a.m. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, I'm not traveling all the way to El Paso, an hour away, like a straight drive, to go to some dance thing. And then
look
weeks,
at you now. Right?
Weeks, months passed, and I said, well, I kind of enjoyed the dancing, but I didn't grow enough, and it was a little expensive. And this other place is an hour away, but it's $10 lessons, and I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to learn bachata, and so I remember my first few lessons. And this is the thing about making friends and meeting new people, especially after a certain age. It's gonna feel awkward.
It is. Yeah.
And I even talked to people, women too, who I'd be walking in the door of the dance social, and she knew me, and she goes, "Will you walk in with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I'd be like, she said, "I didn't want to walk in by myself. I almost didn't come in." And I thought,
it's
okay,
different for a woman, I would say.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking, well, this is not a guy thing or gal thing. It's a human thing. It is a challenge for anybody who has to walk into a place by themselves and not know anybody. And so I remember when I was first doing the lessons and like the first day, and I couldn't, my muscle memory was just terrible. And
Yeah.
we were doing these dance patterns, and we'd switch partners. And I remember, it's okay, rotate, next partner, right?
Right.
And a woman would come up to me, and I'd introduce myself, and I'd say, right away, I'd apologize.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weak, but I would apologize and say, look, I'm not getting this move.
Yeah.
And after the second move, I'd forget to just bear with me,
Right.
just bear with me. And
Right.
and I would just feel terrible the whole time. Like, oh man, these poor women have to dance with me, and then I get to the next guy and he's so much better or whatever. And I'd literally be turning my head and my neck and looking at the clock. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait till this class is over.
Really?
I can't wait to get out of
It
here.
gave you a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, it did. And I would get out, and then the owner, she goes, "Oh, you're not staying for the open practice?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I got to work tomorrow," which was true, but
Yeah, that was your excuse.
I was trying to get out.
Yeah.
I had to come back the next time, and then I would do the same thing. And maybe the third practice or fourth, I'd stayed for one song
Yeah.
for open practice. The next time, maybe two. Until I finally, like, okay, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like jogging or running, and you're in a race. Like, just follow that person in front of you.
Right.
Catch up to that person. Or
Sure.
turn that corner. Get to that corner and turn that corner.
Yeah.
But just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to force myself to keep coming.
Yeah.
As terrible as I feel, like there were times where the anxiety was like, I'm going to leave this class right now.
Yeah. Wow.
I felt that bad. But I told myself, this is what it's like learning. You just haven't had to learn anything in a long time.
You're totally out of your comfort zone.
I was out of my comfort zone. I was having to take a big chance every time. New people.
And here's the thing is you're face to face, right, with strangers. And they're like holding your hand and you're holding them. And it's like,
Well, that's the thing.
so you were getting anxiety from it. And I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about dancing, especially like that, because it breaks that touch barrier.
Right.
It's like when you meet a stranger and it's that initial touch, it really makes a big difference. And once you start doing that and they have you change partners every 5 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just great. And for me, it like loosened me up, and then it's like small talk and whatever, So luckily, I mean, I ended up going to the same dance studio, right?
Right.
And I had this crazy idea in my head that, they offer bachata Mondays, salsa Tuesday, and country Wednesday. I'm going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
And my brain just can't, I can't synthesize all those dance moves, right?
No, it's challenging.
It's tough. So then I did that for like a week or 2 weeks, and then I was like, I'm just going to stick to country, right? Country is I took country dance classes when I was in college, and so the muscle memory kind of came back, right? And so I even now I still feel more comfortable doing country dance than salsa.
And you're good at
bachata.
country. I've seen you on the dance floor.
I'm trying to get better, right? It's
No.
it's a journey, right?
It is a journey. But back to your point about, because you have the leaders and the followers. Typically, men are the leaders, women are the followers. Sometimes it goes the other way.
Well, that's let's talk about that, right? So like a woman has the luxury of being led, but the man has the responsibility to be the leader. Right?
Yes.
I have not been led, right? I've had women who want to kind of lead,
Right.
and they'll like throw in a move, or they'll not follow the lead, but then that's just being a weak leader, a dance leader I'm talking.
Right.
Which that's what teaches you, that's where you get that confidence.
There's so much metaphor there. Because I would ask the woman, we're learning this new pattern. I said, do you remember what we do after? She said, she would almost always, they say, no, I don't remember.
No, they don't.
I just follow.
That's right.
And I'm like, crap. It's my responsibility
Yes,
to
sir.
remember it, to lead it, to prep her,
Yeah.
to turn her, to do all these
And
things.
I'll tell you what, women appreciate it. They really appreciate it. So like I'll go to the country dance bars.
Yeah.
And like just this last weekend, and the girl's like, I don't really know how to dance. And so I go, they all say that, right? But then you get them on the dance floor, and then they're like spinning you around or whatever. But this one girl, she like liked it, but she didn't know how. So then I gave her like a couple of pointers, and I was like, here, put pressure on your hand to push against me. And then I'm going to push you here. And I go, see, now I could turn you. And she's like, oh my God, and it's those little tweaks.
Right.
But as a man, right, you should have that in you to lead them in the dance floor.
You should. I agree. You should. The thing is, if you're not taught, because very few people are natural anything.
But you got to learn it.
Exactly. You got to invest
Yeah.
time, energy,
Right.
and other things, and put some consistency behind it.
But you have to put that effort in. And I'll take it a step further. So I'm a huge believer in training, right, and classes. And I learned how to, like years ago, I learned how to develop websites because I took a week-long boot camp on how to develop websites, right? Before then, I was lost, right? It all sounds good. You could open up a book, you could watch a video, but until somebody sits you down and teaches you, like, file, open, start a new project, right? It's really, really basic. And it's the same thing with dancing. Like, basic position, right? There's a basic move. There's a basic way to hold people.
Right.
But if nobody teaches you that, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And unless you were blessed enough to have like a mom and dad that raised you to dance and teach you like the proper way, which that probably is common, like to do cumbias and stuff like that in the Mexican culture. But we weren't raised to learn how to country dance.
No.
Right. And my parents, I'll be honest, I never saw them dancing together.
Right. You can only learn what someone teaches you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to self-teach. But so we do these classes, and yeah, you have open position, closed position. And so literally, I started looking forward. Once I got more comfortable in my own skin, I looked forward to it all week.
Yeah.
Like all week, I was looking forward to the class, thinking about it, looking at videos. And part of it is because I'm learning something and I'm becoming more comfortable and better at it. The other part is, you literally hold this woman's hands, or in closed position, you hold one hand and you have her frame, your right arm around her back and her shoulder area. And she has her hand on your, upper shoulder. And you do that with numerous people.
Right.
And
it's that oxytocin,
It's
right?
that oxytocin. It's that cuddle chemical, that cuddle, hormone. Now, it's not sexual, although some dances have, are sensual.
Yeah.
But it's not sexual. It's not even romantic. It's just a common thing of holding people, which we don't do in today's society anymore. But
it's so addictive, right?
So addictive.
It's addictive.
And not just for men.
Women love it.
I talk to women, and we would just start talking about this because we started forming these friend groups, right?
Yeah.
And we started talking about it. One friend of ours, she said yes.
Yeah.
She goes, I would go because she's a widow, right? Widower. And she goes, I go because I like being. She also wants to learn how to dance, but she goes, it feels good to be held.
Yes, and let's be honest, it's not a sexual thing.
No.
Although a lot of people think that it is.
Right.
I've met women at dance clubs, and they think that I'm sleeping with every woman I dance with, right? And that's just not the case. A lot of it is they like dancing.
Right.
They want to dance. I ask them to dance. They say yes, and then we dance, and then that's it, right?
Right.
You just go on to the next person, whatever.
But so both of us, we didn't know each other, similar backgrounds. Our stories are kind of parallel in some ways, but we both just happened to go to the same dance studio.
The same place, yeah.
And we met and we became friends, but we also have other friends as part of this network who we hang out with, we go to dinner with, we watch football with, we've been on trips with.
Yeah.
We text with, we share.
Yeah.
I mean, after a while, it becomes sharing. We start talking about our lives, our ups and downs.
Yeah, it's been some sort of a support group. Problems with kids and problems with careers or family life or whatever.
Health.
Yeah, health,
Yeah.
and it's good to have a sounding board. So you don't sit at home and stew and become your own echo chamber.
Yeah, I mean, so most people, their friends are an extended version of their work network.
Yeah,
and so we go to work. In our cases, we go to the gym. We go to the grocery stores. Your youngest is younger than mine, so you meet parents sometimes. But really, in today's day and age, a lot of people, I don't know what they do, but this is the point, is making friends at our age, particularly, is not a natural phenomenon.
It's not, and it takes a lot of conscious effort to do something positive. It's too easy to go to the bars. It's too easy to do like toxic shit. And don't get me wrong, I've like to drink and socialize. I consider myself a social drinker. But at some point you have to take a step back and be like, I'm 50, right?
Yeah.
I can't be at bars 5 days a week.
No,
I just
it's not
can't.
healty financially. You look at your account like, what the heck? How did I spend?
Can't do it, right? And then you do stupid decisions, right?
Most of mine, almost all my decisions, not all, most of my stupid ones, I can guarantee there was drinking
Associated to some sort
that
of drinking.
happened before, and heavy.
And then the risks are greater, right? Like you could lose your job, you could lose your driver's license, you could lose whatever.
Hurt yourself, hurt someone else.
So those are like the worst case scenarios, which I've never wanted to go down that path.
Right.
So what do you do if you don't have a single buddy, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? And so like for me, I was like really just trying to work on me, and then it's a combination of stuff. Mm-hmm. So then I had to go to the doctor and get my blood work and all that good stuff, right? Which I recommend everybody has to do that, especially if you're at 50. And then that's when I got another cold bucket of water splashed on me, and it's like, hey, your cholesterol is like going out of control. And I'm like, what are you talking about, right? I eat healthy, right? I get the small, Whataburger with cheese, right? I get the small meal with fries,
With fries.
And so
DP, yeah.
So that in conjunction with being single was like...
It's a healthy combo, man.
Bro. And so you got to like grab hold of those reins and figure some shit out.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
It's not a do this for a week and you're good to go.
This is a piggy bank financial plan here. You're just adding.
And it's a long-term investment, right? Yeah. And it's a long-term investment, and it's hard freaking work, And so there's a lot of self-accountability that you have to do. Mm-hmm. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your kids. You have to take care of your finances, all those things. And it's just too easy to go get drunk, right? It's too easy to go pound down a few, shots of tequila on a Tuesday and watch sports all night or whatever. Yeah. So now in my 50s, I'm like having to make a concerted effort of not doing the toxic behavior shit, right? And let's just be honest, right? I don't need to be out there with a bunch of 20-year-olds, getting drunk with them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's why finding peers, which, I met you through another person that I met at the dance thing. And then they invited me to this like little circle of people that were kind of similar to my demographic, about the same age, either widowed or divorced.
Well, actually, everyone in the dance group that we hang out with, I'm pretty sure everyone is divorced or widowed, which is an interesting, set of characteristics to have in common.
Yeah, I would call it secretly. I wouldn't tell anybody, but I would call us the broken heart group, right? Because it was just like everybody who's had their freaking heart smashed. Right. We're in this little group,
right? And not all divorced. Some, a good friend of ours lost his wife to COVID, right? Yeah. Another was widowed. So it's, if you're alone, you're alone.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how you got there. But it's so easy to stay there.
Oh, gosh.
And to kind of have a pity party and think, well, this is life.
Yeah.
This is my life now. And that's a choice.
But I really appreciated, so when I first was invited to go to a country bar and meet everybody, and it was like this aha moment where it's like, wow, these guys are just like me. And they're actually like age appropriate, they're not like 24. So it was really nice to do that, and I didn't want to taint that. I didn't want to mess it up and ruin that vibe that was going on. So I think we got lucky, blessed, however you want to look at it, to be able to find people to connect with. And not everybody, like me and you, have a pretty good connection, but we don't have that same connection with everybody across the board because that's just personalities, and you're not supposed to. I don't think. But it's important that you actually make that concerted effort.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways, luck is an element depending on who you meet.
Yeah.
But meeting those people was not luck, right? There was effort. We put ourselves out there. We made ourselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it was like being kids. It's like, hey, my name's Spencer.
Right.
I want to learn how to dance.
Yeah.
Will you help me? Right. You guys are going to go to dinner. Yeah, do you want to join us? Yeah, I'd like to join you, which is, unheard of before because I was just too busy and I had my life. But when you got to start over, making friends requires vulnerability.
A lot of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then just being open, as a man, I always think of the alpha. Like there's always some sort of alpha, like when you get a bunch of men together. And so I like to kind of do my own thing. I don't mind going by myself to different locations and
lone
trying
wolf
different
type guy.
I don't mind it, right?
Right.
I like being part of a pack too, but I don't need that all the time.
Well, I think for me, I don't mind it, but I think there's a danger in that because we get used to it.
Yeah.
There's some complacency there. And you start getting used to that. And okay, we're 50 now, 53. Before you know it, you'll be 60, right?
Yeah.
And you think, where did these 7 years go? And
see, that part kind of scares me, honestly. Like, I'm 53, and then I'm like, damn, like, I feel good, right? I'm like kind of getting my life together with my health. And so I feel fine. I'm making some decent friends, and I got projects, and I got things that I'm taking care of my children. And so, but we're not getting younger, and we're getting closer and closer to 60, and that kind of scares me more than getting closer to 50.
well, I mean, there's only two choices really. You can either age or stop aging.
Yeah.
And I don't want to age, but I don't want to stop aging
You can't, right?
because then it means life's over.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is, I just got to enjoy every day.
Yeah.
Why wait till Friday
Yeah.
or Saturday and think, oh, I want to have fun Friday or Saturday when I go to no.
Right.
Enjoy today.
Sure.
Now, doesn't mean you have to go out. Doesn't mean but you can hang out with friends. You can spend time with friends. You can get on the phone. You can still work on that craft of, let's say in our case, dancing.
Yeah.
So when you becomes Friday or Saturday and you go out dancing, you don't tell yourself, oh, I don't want to dance that song because it's a certain style. I don't know how to dance it.
Right.
Or I don't want to ask her to dance because she's a really good dancer and I'm intimidated. No, you work on these things. No matter what your endeavor is, whatever you're going to learn, whether it's dancing or weightlifting, because some people don't even like to go in the gym because they feel conscious of that.
Another part I was going to interject there is don't turn down opportunities.
Yeah.
And so I was really like rigid about like, no, I got to go to the gym, or no, I got to go whatever.
Yeah.
And those are like things like self-imposed rules.
Yeah.
So like if when these people that we met of our little group, they were like, oh, we're going to go get a beer. I'm like, but it's Tuesday, right? I don't drink on Tuesdays,
Yeah.
right? I only drink on the weekends. And they're like, well, if you want to join us. And I'm like, okay, and then it's like, wow, these people want to connect, right? It was so awkward to me.
Yeah.
Because it was like, what do you guys want to talk about, right?
Well, yeah, because you texted me last weekend. It was already late. Maybe you texted me at 9 or 10. You said, hey, I'm thinking of going a little bit, this country bar.
Oh, yeah. That was
And
2
I
weeks
live
ago.
45 minutes from there, and I'm thinking, man, it's already 9 or 10 o'clock, and then I'm literally leaving for a trip the next day.
Yeah.
Common sense says, finish packing,
Don't do it.
take a shower, get to bed early, get up early. Those are all positive things.
That little voice is like, listen, old man, you got a
But
long day ahead of
I'm
you.
thinking to myself, I'm going to drive for a long time tomorrow. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff's packed. I've already made my lunch. What the heck? Just get
Let's
ready
go.
and go. And we had a good time.
Yeah, really, yeah. it
You
was
met
good,
some
good.
people
Yeah.
there. We both met people, but
Sure.
you just never know.
You never know.
But I know this. If I stay at home,
You ain't going to meet anybody.
exactly. There is nobody I'm going to meet. And swiping left or swiping right or clicking, whatever.
Yeah.
That's boring.
Well, to that point, I intentionally stayed off of all that stuff
Yeah.
because people would warn me, "Don't get on, man. Don't
Yeah.
get on. It's going to be horrible." And I've gotten on, right?
Yeah.
But it hasn't been terrible. But it's a lot of people leaving you hanging, and then you connect online and just never meet and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I find it very exhausting.
I think, if you've been listening to this whole episode, it's you got to put yourself out there
Yeah.
and you got to enjoy the day. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Make yourself vulnerable, put yourself out there, learn something.
You got to embrace the suck. You got to
Yeah.
embrace it. And the more uncomfortable you feel, you're probably onto something.
Exactly.
And
There's
that-
only growth through vulnerability
Yeah.
and risk.
And you just never know, right? It was like that last Saturday we went out, man. It was late. It was
A
late.
little later than normal.
And
But-
and then here's the other thing: we're not drinking, right?
No,
Which
we're,
is that
we're
I think
on a
that's
40-day hiatus from drinking, so it's not like we're going to drink.
and so we're not drinking and driving, so we don't have to worry about that part, which I really like that. And then
I knew there'd be no hangover. It's just how tired would I be in the morning. But
yeah,
but
well, to me that was a factor. If I'm going out drinking and going out and dancing and
Right.
whatever, then there's always that risk of getting a DUI and stuff. So if we eliminate the drinking, it's kind of a win-win on that.
Yeah.
But the point I think you're trying to get is like you just got to go and do stuff.
yeah, got to get out there. So I got one last question for you.
Sure.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah. Will you be my friend?
I'll be your friend.
So yeah, so I mean, it's a hard world out there, right? So we gotta make it happen somehow, somewhere. So they're not all gonna be gems, but hey, you gotta make a friend somehow.
Sometimes you just polish a rock or paint it.
Yeah.
Rock painting.
All right. Well, this is a good episode, man.
All right.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So to all our listeners, once again, thanks for tuning in to TBT Bro Talk. And hey, vatos, remember, pónganse trucha.